Everyone, it's Nikki, and welcome back to Empower by Nikki, your space for real talk, bold energy, and unstoppable growth. I want to showcase a beautiful soul. Her name is Yameika, and she is just someone who is authentically herself and has overcome obstacles and barriers that are beyond what we expect in not only our careers, but parenthood as well. And before we begin, I just want you to remember to be powerful, messy, authentic, and wildly you. Someone out there needs just exactly who you are today in this very moment, this very version of yourself. So whether you're in your sweats, on a trail, or sipping your favorite drink on the porch, breathe this in. I am not behind. I am not broken. I am becoming. The power of yet lives here. As always, own your story, unleash your power, and remember, when the world says you can't, whisper back, watch me. Now let's begin. This is Yameika's story. Hi, everyone. I'm Nikki with Empower by Nikki, and this is Yameika. And we are going to just get into what she does on a daily basis, as well as not only being a parent advocate, but being a parent and a doctor. So if you want to get in and tell us a little bit about what you do and then about your daughter.
All right. So, hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Yameika Head. I am a double boarded pediatrician, and I have specialties in general pediatrics, and I also do child abuse pediatrics. So I work at a children's hospital here I'm in Georgia, and I have been practicing over close. It's almost 20 years now. I hate to bring that up. It just makes me feel so old. But I've
Time
been
goes fast.
yeah, I've been practicing for a long time. And I have just always loved kids. I've always wanted to be a physician. And so that has been my journey when it comes to my career in life. I've always known this is what I was going to do. During, growing up in your career, I have also been one that has had a daughter. So I actually have three daughters, but I have two bonus children plus my own that I have with the father. And um, when I had the child of my own, it wasn't as, I hate to say it's like straightforward. It's not like straightforward because any pregnancy,
Right? It's not what we expected it to be.
no. So it is not. So but we'll just tell the story. The thing is, so beautiful little daughter that I had. And then when I had her, I think it was the day of, my daughter has went through a lot of things in her little career. She is now actually 10, but she has been through a lot. At birth, she was found to have a grade 3 intraventricular hemorrhage, which is bleeding in the brain, which caused her also to have jaundice. So we went through the jaundice thing, which is normal stuff, all
Yeah.
as parents have been through the jaundice journey and the phototherapy and the lights and the feeding. So had that. And then of course she grew up. She had some issues with because we learned later on that she also had a big heart murmur. So she had it's called a patent ductus arteriosus, which is a vessel that all babies have, but hers never close on their own. So soon as you take your first breath, this vessel is supposed to close. Hers didn't. And it was huge. It's about as big as her aorta. So it was huge. So it would have took a long time for it to do all that. So we had to go through heart surgery with this poor child, plus feeding, tubes, lots of different things. So of course she had the surgery, went through that. But then when she got older, we noticed that she didn't walk on time. So at her 12-month birthday, we all were praying, oh, she's going to walk. Hopefully she walk on her birthday. So it was actually a year later that she began to walk. And what we found out through that toddler phase is, yes, it was a delayed in walking. So we put her in physical therapy. She did all the therapies. But I was always worried because she didn't talk on time. And I had some concerns because when she would come to my office, of course, my staff love her, but she would come through the office and everybody would be, hey, hey, her name is Joy. Hey, Joy, hey, Joy. Joy just walks right past everybody. And then, of course, when she noticed, everybody's talking to her, then she's all in your face. She's a social butterfly. She loves people. But it just was different. And
Mhm.
so I'm blessed because I work at a children's hospital. And of course, I am a physician there and I know lots of people. So, of course, I was the one who was kind of talking to my friend, like, hey, can you see Joy? Because I'm a little worried about her. And so we went to a good friend of mine. Her name is Dr. Elizabeth Young. She's a behavior and developmental pediatrician. So she did all the development, played with the doll and fed the baby, all the stuff that
Yeah.
you're supposed to do. But then she rung the bell and Joy didn't pay any attention. She still was playing with the baby doll over here. And so she put it up under the table and she shook it and Joy didn't turn. So she was like, you know what, Yameika, I think she can't hear. And I'm like, what? Because mind you, okay, so of course I look like this. So my daughter is African American. And you know us African Americans, we can jam. So my daughter
Yeah.
has always danced and danced on beat. She loves music. So it didn't make sense to me that she couldn't hear because she dances to music. Like you have to hear the music, right?
Right. She can probably feel the vibrations on it. Yeah.
And that is it. So yes,
Mhm.
she can hear that boom, boom, that bass
Yeah.
drop and feel that. So it didn't make sense to me. And so with all of that, we got another hearing test because mind you, she passed her hearing in the newborn. She failed it
Mhm.
like in the hospital, but we had to get I always say the real test and she passed that. And then so after talking with Dr. Young, we got another test and we got the one that they had to sedate you and the brain waves, all of that. And we found out our daughter had severe deafness is what she had.
Okay.
So then we had to go through that whole journey of accepting that our daughter, it will be different and that her disability is that she cannot hear. And what we also found out in this whole thing is that her cochlea, which is the thing that helps you with your balance and things, doesn't have all the turns, which goes along with
Okay.
this is the reason why she can't walk.
Yeah.
She didn't walk on time. She can walk now and run and everything.
Yeah.
And so that made sense of why her balance, like right now, she cannot stand. She's 10 and she cannot stand like on her one leg like all the other kids. She always has to have something to prop on, or she's holding on to me to put on her pants in the morning,
Yeah.
different things like that. But that's just because of her balance,
Mhm.
things like that. So that has been the journey of my child. And because of that, that's led me to more so my parent advocacy and my child advocacy, despite me being a pediatrician and I do this all day, every day. But it's been
Mhm.
a bigger push because I can now say with my parents, I've been through this. I've gotten bad diagnosis. I've cried in the closet and all that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. I had to be strong for my family because I'm the medical person. So I had to be there and understand everything and had to be the one that had to find resources and find groups and find things that help my child be able to be the best that she can be. And so that having her, which is a blessing, has made I say myself a better mom, a better advocate, a better pediatrician because I have been there. And so I've been
Mhm.
through the rough times and the good times and all.
Yeah. And they definitely don't make it easy for us to find resources or for us to find like the next step. I think that's like the hard, like, especially like for me, like, and like, you know, this, like, that's why we got into like helping other families is because we had to deal with going and finding it and finding the next thing and always having to like, find the products and going and telling like, the pediatrician, like, you and telling them like, hey, can you write a referral for this? Because, insurance is covering it, but not a lot of
Mhm,
people are using it or they're not using it in this area. Hey, this is what she needs. Come on, let's go. Let's start it. Yeah, we're just starting like helping like hand out AAC devices
mhm.
because insurance right now is taking like forever just to okay it and then getting everything they need. So we're in that boat right now with the communication devices,
Right.
more so for like the non-speakers and the children with
Mhm.
autism and stuff. So
Right.
yeah, it's a very big thing, especially for parents who don't know or don't have the time to like
Right.
go and research everything or don't have the accessibility to do so. It makes it really hard for them.
Right. And then the fact that Like a lot of families may not have ever had to be around a kid that has a disability or doesn't know anybody. Didn't know any deaf people. I hadn't been around deaf people. As parents, we know what schools, we figure we know what schools our child's going to go to. How is
Mm-hmm.
this going to work? And for your mind to have to shift that what you thought your life was going to be when you had this child is a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
But I know with a lot of families, when they get the diagnosis, that you do go through your grieving process. And that's
Yeah.
just normal, even for all of us that we tell hard diagnosis all the time, but knowing that that's a normal thing, even for me who's in medicine and I do this every day, but is a normal. I always want to tell parents that it's a normal thing because people feel bad that they're
Mm-hmm.
grieving this supposed to be, you thought, a normal child, but that is a normal part of it. So we talk about that, in
Yeah.
that acceptance is the main thing that you have to get to. And once you get to that step, then that's when everything clicks for everything that you need. Because, we I even talked about it today. I did a little mini talk about how a lot of times we as parents go to, we're the bad parents and it's something that we did because of this and this and this.
Yep.
I had to go through that. And other next step for me was that I'm a pediatrician, and all that guilt is like, I tell people about their kids all the day. And how did I miss my own child not doing the different things? And it's because I'm a mom first when I'm with her. Medicine is out the door. I'm not her doctor. I'm her mom. And I just get dumb when it comes to
Right? Well,
the
and that's how
medical
I
stuff.
was like as a medical massage therapist. Like I was like, like this just doesn't look right. And
Hmm.
that's like what got me on my journey. And I just
Hmm.
had to be like, nope, she needs to be seen see a specialist. No, I don't think this is right. This is not correct. The angles aren't off enough. Let's go see a different person. Let's get a second opinion. Then
Right.
that happened. And it's like, and a lot of people, which, I was totally in this position. A lot of people don't want something to be wrong or
Yeah.
out of the norm.
Hmm.
And it's hard to get past that stage.
Hmm.
And once people know that it's okay to accept it,
Hmm.
like especially like, for autism, and like it's a huge range,
Right.
but like we have a lot of families that are scared to get that diagnosis or scared to share it with people. And it's like it can open so many more doors for them, like getting whatever they need, schooling, different like camps or like, like
Yeah.
anything.
Anything.
And it's not a bad thing. And society has made it, obviously in the past, they've made it looked down upon,
Hmm.
and it scares people. And
Right.
I understand. Like,
Right.
I was like, like, how am I
Hmm.
gonna do this? And so, like, now, like, when I travel, like, I don't like to bring her places for the first time with me because I'm like, well, where are these entrances and exits? And like, I'll look up different places and see there, like
Hmm.
how they have the building set up because you can't go and take the stairs. Like carrying her is like 55 pounds, and then carrying her walker, which is another like 30 pounds. It's
Hmm.
definitely a different difficult task going up and downstairs. And
Right.
parents, like especially when it is something that's out of the norm, even just a little bit, I think that that's the one biggest thing is that we just need to make aware, like it's okay. Like we have been there. We have gone through the grief stage. We have
Hmm.
gone through denial. We've gone
Hmm.
through all of it.
Hmm.
And the best part is when you overcome it.
Yes.
It
Yes.
is.
Yes.
And that's like when you take that next step. It's just, okay, let's do this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because I'm a firm believer, is in that I believe in a higher power. And
Hmm.
I believe that I was given this special child because my person that I believe in thought enough of me to give me that special child.
Hmm.
And once I got into that, because my whole thing is like, why? And now I can see why I was that person for her.
Hmm.
I have the abilities to do a lot of stuff. My personality is great for her. I am very expressive and, a social butterfly, just like how she is. So having a child that is very expressive, and she has to be expressive to, be able to communicate. I'm that person for her. And once
Right.
you get over in the beginning, you do that victimhood. And then when you move on to like, I am this baby's champion. I am
Mm-hmm.
blessed to have her. I've learned so much, so many things from her, and have been amazed at what I thought I wasn't going to be able to do with her. And I've had the opportunity to do a lot more than what I thought I was going to be able to do with her. And once you go through those experiences, it's like, wow, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's different now, but it's amazing that I still can do the things that I thought I wasn't going to be able to do. Like, for instance, going to the movies. I thought it was going to be, I'm never going to be able to take her to a movie to see Disney stuff like everybody else because she can't hear the movies. But now
Yeah.
we go to the movies. She's old enough that she can read the closed captioning. If she doesn't understand stuff, then I can be like, okay, this is what's going on. Then she's like, oh, okay. And then she's like, I thought I got it. And then,
Yeah.
she's laughing and dancing to the music like all of us. So the experiences that I didn't think she can do, like she can do it. It's just different. So it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. It is.
Okay, so while we're talking about the movie thing, you have to tell everyone, because we
Mhm.
already talked about it, about like what you do at home that is a shock for a lot of people, especially those that aren't around you all the time at home. When she watches shows and you don't have the volume on.
Okay. So,
That one.
okay. I was like, we didn't talk about a lot of stuff. Okay.
I know, right?
So what I found out is, okay, so one day we were playing with the TV, and my husband, he's all in the TVs, and there was different settings, and we always put closed captioning on our TV, even for us. Like, we're older, so we have to read to catch up with what they said, so,
Right.
so we just have it on for us too. But what we found out in the language part, that they actually have a part where you can have like is an avatar person that actually signs for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when you
Yeah.
watch the news, it's like a little avatar person that she has that does all the signing. So when we watch TV, we're reading the captions. We are. And then she's
Yeah.
sitting there watching the lady, her little lady that she made. But if we didn't play around with our TV, we wouldn't have never known that. So like on my platforms, my social medias, I posted like, hey, did y'all know that there is actually like a sign language interpreter function on your smart TV? So
Right. Well, I just found out recently that a capital D in deaf means that you need an interpreter, which I never knew that. Like
mhm.
I could tell you all about like walking sticks and like, like the red and the black and like I could tell you all about that. I did not know that part. And I'm like, that probably would have been really good to know. Like I just am like,
Yeah,
you just
it's
don't
a lot.
know these things until it comes up and you're like,
Right.
that's why. That makes sense now. Like no wonder like
Mhm.
now I know. Like we went to the Rocky Mountain School of the Deaf and
Mhm.
like I know basic sign language, but it's
Mhm.
not anything that could get me past the front door, to be
Uh-huh.
honest. Like, like I could, and I follow people on TikTok who do it and just different things like that. But
Mhm.
I brought my daughter there and, well, she was 6 at the time, but we go in there and they're signing while they're talking. And we're going to leave and she's like, and I'm like, Evelyn, like, sorry, honey, like, just so you know, like, that's not appropriate. We can give you classes, you can learn how to actually do it. I was like, I know you know a couple words, but
Mhm.
I was like, you can't just make stuff up. Like that's like in like a way making fun of them because I know you're trying and like that's awesome. But just so like some kids might take offense to that and some adults might take offense to that. And so like now she like obviously like understands. But
Mhm.
I'd have that talk with her because I'm like, okay, Evelyn, you can't do that right now. Like we'll talk about it in the car why. And because, like, because everyone, like a lot of the children in there were signing, and like I'm trying to whisper to her, like, okay, stop, don't do this right now, like, and they understand, but at the same time, like, they don't know why we were there.
Mhm.
Like, if they can't read our lips, and, it's kind of like a, catch 22 on that end. And so it's just little things, that people that aren't aware of, or like
Mhm.
you go into a certain situation and it's hard to like get like people to understand like you can go on your TV and put in an interpreter.
Mhm.
A lot of people have smart TVs. It's,
Right.
kind of like an easy concept, just like for people to just be like, oh, let's try it out, or let's like,
Mhm.
put it on so we can just like see it and watch it, and we
Mhm.
can see how like other people do their things. And it's kind of nice because they're starting to bring it into schools,
Mhm.
and that's been another great a great tool for them to have. And, like, especially like in a lot of communities where they don't have specialized schools and they don't have the schools that have the programs for them and they get put in special education, then
Right.
there's that whole feat. you
Right.
know, there's so much to it and so much that gets left out. And so, there's a lot of people who don't know and then they get put in the situation and then they're like, oh, well, how do we do this?
Right.
It's a pretty impactful thing, and I love that what you do and just, bringing in your daily life and helping others, and we are definitely blessed with the kids that we have
Yes.
because I never would have thought of myself being in the situation I'm in,
No.
and I love being able to help other kids,
Mhm.
get adaptive equipment. That's kind of my forte. I just love it. I love to see, like, that they're able to do something and then there's a smile on their face. It's like, "Oh, awesome." Like, like, that's my passion.
Right, and
Yeah.
then it helps them to be able to do what they need to be around different people because communication is key. So if any devices that they need that can help them to be able to communicate better with others. So, most kids, if they can't get over what they want, that's when all the tantrums and the different things or the frustration they get because they just want you to understand what they want or what they are trying to tell you. So, yes, it's great to have different devices and different things that can help them to communicate the best that they can.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Just like all the
Mhm,
technology that they're coming up with too, especially. It's just it gives them, a way to go about it. Like we have a superintendent for one of the school districts here, and
mhm,
he's getting Braille. Well, there's like a thing, it's a thing called like Talent City Makers, and it's like where
mhm.
people can go in and make things, or like the high school students can come in. And they made some of the students bracelets with Braille on their name, so when their friend went up to them, they could tell who it was. And
Aw,
so it's like, just little things like
little
that. It's like,
things, yes.
it's a nice way to like just, be able to, help with the communication part because, communication is what that makes the world go round. So,
Right.
it doesn't matter with everything else. It's, but the kids when they're like able to do, you know, different things with
Mhm,
their peers or like understand them, that's,
mhm.
it's a good thing, especially
Right.
when they don't have to be set back in school because of, their abilities and what the school is able to get or what the families are able to get.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
'Cause kids know a
they
lot
do.
that you don't even imagine what all they soak in just because you think they don't understand. I was telling a story that, so during the summer, I'm having my daughter do virtual speech therapy. And when we did the evaluation, because she was trying to see, how much does she know? And she has a speech. So my daughter has a cochlear, so she can hear like regular.
Yeah.
But for her communicating back, she does sign. So if we were talking, like,
Mhm.
she'll understand what we're talking about. But she to express herself, she does sign. But the speech therapist asked, what did she feel? What did do in speech? Because she like, your mom has you here, your dad has you here, and I Joy had signed that I want to do this because I want to speak like my friends, and that was like, oh my God. So she really like
I was like, honestly, I think that's the biggest factor with
mhm.
kids
Yes.
because like Evelyn got her baseball pictures back, and this is the first year because I coached Challenger Little
Mhm.
League, and this is the first year that she took her walker out of the picture. She's never done that before, the
Mhm.
photographer.
Mhm.
And this is the first year, and she was like kind of like taken back by it. Well,
Mhm.
like a week later, like we're at my friend's house and she's my COO,
Mhm.
and I was like, I don't know how Evelyn felt about it. So she asked her, and Evelyn's like,
Mhm.
I liked it because I look like everyone else. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a big factor for the kids, like just to
Mhm.
be able to be like their peers.
Right.
It's a big enforcer.
But just things we don't I don't know, I don't know, I guess I don't know, as parents, we always think of them as little bitty babies, and we have to realize that they are little humans that can talk and have their own, well, not talk, but have their own thoughts and their own feelings. And it's just amazing when they are able to express things that you didn't know that they understood or were feeling or all that
Yeah,
stuff. Cause, it's just neat.
it is. It's kind of exciting and like, just from like a medical standpoint, it's like,
Mhm.
oh, like Wow, like, like, you just don't think that they catch on, especially if they don't communicate in the same ways, and
Right.
it's like, "Oh, we can say this or we can say that," and it's like, "Hmm."
No, they know.
Oh, yeah.
So my child, when she was little, I had a partner that she always, since she was a baby, this lady was my partner and she was her pediatrician for forever. Then we ended up switching our pediatrician, which is another partner of mine. And at my clinic, we actually have the machines that does any language
Mhm,
from anywhere video, any language. And so my partner did her visit. This is the first time ever with an ASL interpreter. And when I tell you that it changed like everything I thought about my child, because she knew, it just showed me that she knows what's going on. Like she had concerns about her body. She was okay. Like she corrected me on some stuff. And I'm like, how you gonna correct me? And she's like, no, I do speech twice a week. I do OT. What's like, she was like, no, but it was just open my mind about the concern she had for herself medically. She was
mhm.
able to tell us, she was fine or she knew about that. She's 10, so she's going through the puberty. She's getting all her parts now and her being expressed like how she felt about it. Because I guess we really haven't had the talk about all that, even though
Yeah.
we know like you're going to be grown like mom, but for her to be able to express how she felt about things. I thought that really changed and it helped me to better see the importance of translating services or any disability services that are needed for anybody.
So was it, like, an actual person doing the interpretation, or was it the Okay,
Mhm.
okay,
So a live
awesome.
person on the
That's awesome.
screen.
Yeah.
The lady was like, you're because Joy she's her namesake. She is funny, like she makes us laugh every day. And so like even the interpreter was like, you have the neatest child ever. Like she was like she had to stop sometimes because she was laughing about the stuff that Joy, she said, okay, let me laugh first. Okay, she said this, and this, and this. And we're like, what? Yes, but it just made,
My gosh.
yeah, but I always even I just was like, okay, if me and the doctor would always just talk and I would just, I wouldn't ask her about or try to, I would explain like, okay, we got to get your pee but not
Yeah.
like why or what's it for. But it was good to see the other side of being able to explain and how, she was concerned about some stuff and it just made me
Mhm,
feel better. But it really changed my perspective on like making sure it made me more of a better advocate that when we go to other doctor's appointments, I try to make sure that they have an interpreter for her. Because before I
mhm.
just like, we're going to the heart doctor and we just going to talk and you just sit there and then I interpreted what he's saying and she's like, okay. Or like, what you talking about? But it's now is like, okay, when I make appointments, I make sure that they know, yes, I would like an interpreter for her when she's there. So
So as a pediatrician, do you think that parents should ask questions, like, all the time, or do you think that they should look up and then ask questions?
no,
Or both?
I think both.
Okay.
With my philosophy in taking care of patients and parents is that I believe in education. Like I hate somebody come to me and we're doing history and they're like, my child had a heart surgery. Well, what happened? Like
Yeah.
they don't know what it is or anything or why they're taking this medication. What is like I know why. Okay, why is she on this med? I don't know. They just on this. I'm like, but what was going on? So I'm all about, and if I do something, I want you to ask me, like, why are you giving this? What's your thought pattern? Why you're waiting? Why are we getting those labs? Like, always ask. I think you should always ask, like, what is that? What you giving me? What's going on? You should always ask questions. I like when parents look up stuff because I learn stuff. I learn about different
Mhm.
formulas and milks and gadgets that there are all on Amazon, and I'm screenshotting folks who's like, "Let me see, I never heard of that." I'm learning things. It helps me to
Yeah.
look up different. I had a kid who had autism, and there's a new diet, or no, it's a supplement that has been shown to help with symptoms and everything. Hadn't heard of it, but it helped me to go after the clinic. I'm researching different things and I'm learning myself. So next time I have a parent, I said, well, I've heard of that and I've read about that. So yes, always ask questions. It's okay to look up stuff. It's okay to be like, hey, this is this thing that I've read about, what you think about it. And if I don't know the answer, I'm all about researching it and giving my opinion. But my philosophy also is at the end of the day that this is your child. My job is to give you the medical knowledge that I have, but the decisions on your child is always by you.
Mhm.
If you ask me, Dr. Head, if this my child, what would you do? I'll be like, well, I'll do this, this, this. But at the end of the day, if you're like, I want to wait on this, or can we do something else, or can we do things in steps? I'm okay with that because at the end of the day, you're responsible for your child.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that a lot of parents are really scared to ask questions or even to like look stuff up. And that's like another little like weird concept for me because I'm like, like people come to ask us and ask like, how should we have the speech therapist like word this or the physical therapist word this so that we get this piece of equipment? Like,
Mhm,
okay, well, let me call the company. Like a lot of these companies like have the information on their website or like have the
mhm,
advocacy stuff on their website for like adaptive equipment. And so like I'll call and be like, hey, like just so you know, like now the insurance companies are asking for this if you want to update your website. And so we do like that and help the companies like along that side back end
mhm,
of stuff. But like a lot of people don't know that you can like appeal the
mhm.
insurance. You can, put in your own letter with the doctor's letters or
Right.
with like the referral letters and say, this is what I'm dealing with. We have these doctors that see my child, and this child has all these things that they do. For example, like people need like, a wonderful wagon or, like
Mhm,
different things, that they need. Like they don't realize like you can write a letter to the insurance company with your case number or like with
mhm,
what you applied for and say, hey, my child suffers with elopement. They are non-speaking. They have like they take all these medications. They can't be without their medications. If they elope and we can't find them for so
mhm,
long, there are a lot of different things, like especially with the police situation and
mhm.
autism and disabilities right now is just crazy too. Like everything's just crazy in life,
Right.
crazy in life with disabilities right now and everything. But it's a very weird
Mhm.
thing that people have to look at. But
And sometimes,
they
like, parents know some things more than I do because they do it all the time. So, like,
Yeah, and
I'm
every child's
surprised.
different.
Yeah, so, like, even for me to write equipment, for things, and they'll be like, "Look, I can only get 12 of these for whatever." I'm like, "Okay, what I'm supposed to write? Okay, you need 12. What you need it for?" Like, they already know sometimes.
Mhm.
That's why it's good to listen to them. But their letter, you're right. Getting a letter from your physician or your therapist or whoever's working with your child and you writing a letter also is a good thing to get equipment or services that you need.
Yeah, and this is, like, another, like, just, like, different aspect of that section.
Mhm,
A lot of insurance has, like, a flex funding period. So until
mhm,
it runs out, they use it until it runs out. So if somebody gets denied, they can also go and, say, "Hey, is there any way you could use your flex funding on this?
mhm,
We requested this. It got denied. I didn't appeal, it got denied, but my child needs this for this, this, and this. Here are the letters that support it. Can you use your flex funding this time or the next round?" And a lot
mhm,
of the times they'll say, like if their flex funding's out, they'll be like, "Oh, we don't have any more flex funding this time, like this period, but this is when it opens, so make sure you get it in." So
mhm,
make sure, like for the parents that are listening, make sure that you listen to those dates and write it down, put it on a
mhm.
calendar because the you know, squeaky wheel gets the
Yes,
they get it.
yes.
But definitely like make sure to write that date down and submit that day or within, like a week time frame because some of the
Mhm.
insurance companies, the parents will wait
Yeah.
until like it opens and then they'll submit it that very day.
Mm,
And so
facts.
it's,
Mhm,
yep, you gotta just get in there and get it while it's open.
mhm,
Especially when, families have been denied over and over again for the same thing. Like we had,
mhm,
a shower chair for a child and they had a trach and a feeding tube and they couldn't be submerged in water. And it's
right.
like they just needed the next size up. Why couldn't you guys accept it? So we
Mhm,
ended up getting it like through us.
mhm,
And it it's just like things that families have to go through.
Right.
Not a great situation, but they go
Right.
through it. And
Mhm. And just I always tell parents, just be patient, because of course, when you need
Mhm.
stuff, you're like, "I want it right now, right now." Sometimes you just
Right.
it's you'll get what you need. Sometimes it may take a little while for you to get what you need, but eventually you will get what you need because, like you said, they're like, "I'm tired of this
Yeah.
lady or man sending this letter about whatever," and they must really, really need it. But sometimes it's just I'll tell parents like, look, with different services, different specialists, it may take some time to get in there, but at one day you'll get in there. So just be patient. Be patient
Yeah.
about it. Mhm.
Yeah, we definitely have a couple of families that are on us all the time. I'm like, federal funding's kind of cut right now for us, so we're
Mhm.
waiting on getting other funding. So, and like we're like just getting the funding in for like this set of adaptive equipment. And I'm like letting the families know, like, hey, watch out for your email. You might get accepted this time. Like
Right.
just, but be patient because that's just what happens.
Mhm.
Like just with insurance, like they won't accept or deny, and a lot of places won't. Like, if they have, like, like, hours to get help and things like that, that company will normally help cover things, but if they don't have a denial letter, they won't help.
Right.
And a lot of these insurance companies are like, we're in the teeter-totter," like,
Right.
and so, like, that's where we come in and help with insurance advocacy and then get equipment. But, a lot of these families don't like to wait. A lot of times it is a waiting process,
Mhm.
even though we don't want it to be. Like, I had to wait almost a year for her walker. Like, that's
Yes.
why I started the organization, all because of, like, having to wait a year. And it's like, well, if I would've just paid cash for it, it would've been cheaper and it would've just been she would have been able to get it.
Right.
And it would have been like 45 days max, not 10 months.
Mhm.
So
Which makes
yeah,
it great to have like organizations like you have, where you have people that can help you in your process of getting things and getting your resources and working with people. So it's always good to find resources or programs like Nikki has. So Nikki, so how do can they Google you
yeah.
or
Yeah, so if people Google like MEC disabilities, so it stands for Motivate, Elevate, and Celebrate.
Mhm,
Normally just by that, mecdisabilities.org, we have our TikTok and Instagram and stuff. So
mhm,
a lot of people follow us that way. Um, we're more so like word of mouth pretty much. Just because we work with like a lot of children's hospitals and a lot of
mhm,
clinics and like Rifton and Lecky Life Technologies, which is out of Atlanta. And so we work a lot with like other companies, and that's kind of like a word of mouth kind of thing. And that's kind
mhm,
of like how we build, you know, relationships between them and then with the families, because we're like, oh yeah, we can get that, here we go, let's get it. You
mhm,
don't have to wait. We're not gonna like I normally do the insurance calls because like that's kind of like my forte is equipment and insurance and that advocacy.
mhm,
And so I'm like, this county's kind of like, nah, like it's like a 90% chance of a no. So
mhm,
let's just get it, let's order it. And like every state's different, every county's different depending on
mhm,
the CCOs. And it's just, and we deal a lot with state insurance and with like, like the cutbacks and everything. They're cutting
mhm,
back on what they're approving. And
mhm,
like we understand because obviously we got hit too with that. But
mhm.
it's a very weird time right now, but it'll eventually flatten out. But
Mhm,
a lot of parents, especially right now, are really scared. So
mhm,
like they go in and like apply for equipment and then they'll go right to us, which is
mhm,
fine. That's
mhm.
totally fine. Most of the time, like we have to have a denial letter for us to pay for it.
Right.
But it's like we have partnerships with Rifton, like do AbleNet, just different companies like that. Like a lot of times, we'll call and say, "Hey, we need this piece of equipment. We have like, these have this many kids lined up for other pieces with you guys." And we have like, pricing, which is like the nonprofit or like wholesale pricing. So it makes it a little bit easier for us to get it. And sometimes, like we'll get like businesses within their area to help
Mhm,
sponsor it. And sometimes like we've had an adapted bike go to a bike shop in someone's area. They've built it, and they like donated their time, which normally it's like $100 to $200 for them to
mm,
build one of
mhm,
the adaptive trikes. So they like donated that. And then I think it was one of the pediatric dentistry offices. They ended up going and delivering the trike.
No.
And so it was like we had like the community,
Mhm.
and so we had, the volunteers from the community plus the volunteer hours and the time, and they got to see where it went to, which was awesome. It's like
Mhm.
the little things. And, right now we have actually a lot of people applying for equipment that don't want their story shared, that don't want pictures shared.
Oh.
And it's kind of like hard on us because as an organization, like, yeah, we like show receipts and we show all of our grants, like we like submit everything. But for people to see everything, it's kind of hard, and
Mhm.
like hard for them to like understand like this is what we do on a
Mhm.
daily basis. Like I'm like, I don't know, like 30, 40 hours in just on phone calls back and forth to insurance companies and, doctors' offices across the US.
Mhm.
And it's like, that's just like the little piece.
Right.
That's not the whole picture,
Right.
And it's like, yeah, like there are other aspects, and I would love to show you guys everything we do. And I could like do AI pictures and
Mhm.
videos and whatever.
Mhm.
But I'm a very like, this is the honest truth. This is like what we do. And, so like sometimes I'll be like, we just, got this piece of equipment to like Ohio, or,
Mhm.
like, and we'll say like things like that. And we don't have pictures, we'll, grab the grab picture from the website, or like when they put something together,
Mhm.
like things like that, that
Mhm.
kind of bring it together, but it's not like the full story, which it kind of just makes it a little bit harder on us. But we have a lot of families that either have foster kids, or
Mhm.
even state offices come to us because we work closely with like child protective services and the
Mhm.
Department of Human Services. So a lot of the families that are in like the group home, or kids that are in the group homes, they don't get a lot of the equipment that they need just because they
Mhm.
don't have the funding, and all the funding's going to where they're staying. And so they
Mhm.
won't do the extra funding for everything else. So that's kind of, I would say like lately, it's been probably about a third of our applications have been just from group homes, which is kind of a crazy feeling,
Mhm.
especially like when you're just not used to it. And you're like, man, like, especially in our area, we've like found out like all the kids that, are on like the autism spectrum that are in foster care or in the
Mhm.
group homes right now because they can't get placed. Different things like that, that it's very hard to see and look at. And, you want to help them all and you can't. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, like, I just want like a little bit more time and I could do it. And like,
Yeah.
like if there was like 1,000 hours in one day, that would be awesome,
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah.
Mhm. So it just brings us back that reaching out to different do a Google search of different organizations or things that are associated with whatever disability your child has. And if you contact those people, they can get you in with other people just like
Hmm.
Nikki and different resources like that. So even during my journey, just doing Google searches and reaching out to different deaf and hard of hearing groups and reaching out to them and like, hey, I have a daughter, just giving a little story of whatever. And I have found I've been able to go to classes. I've had be able to learn about IEPs for her, different devices for her. But it's me getting in touch with different organizations that have gotten me in touch with other people. And then
Hmm.
also finding somebody, if you're able to, and even with asking your physician, do you know anybody that's been where we're going, and making that connection? I've had to go and talk with families that have had children that have had heart surgeries, and tell them like, I know it's scary because it's your baby, like being able to talk to all the different emotions that you have, and
Yeah.
even talking with other families that have gotten the diagnosis of, like, I have on my to-do list for next week to talk to a family that they recently got their diagnosis that their daughter is also deaf, and a speech therapist reached out to me and like, can you talk to this family because they're going through it? So you can get connected with somebody, but you have to, of course, reach out or ask questions to be able to get those resources that you need for your child.
Yeah, and I'm gonna add on that, definitely use social media like Instagram, Facebook. Those are
Mhm.
heavy hitters, especially for organizations who want to help.
Mhm.
We were waiting, like my daughter's AFOs were not like, they just weren't working for her, weren't working for her. They kept getting sent back to get redone, just all these different things. And I reached out to Extern, which is out of Canada. And they're like, oh, what size shoe is she? So I told them, and they're like, oh, so our peds, like they adjust. Let me send you a pair.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
the US, like, I don't know if it's the whole US, but at that
Mhm.
time, Oregon wasn't approving them. So
Mhm. Mhm.
They were like, "We'll just send you a pair." They were like, "If you can let us know how they work, that would be awesome." So a
Yes.
lot of these companies just want a review. They want to know because
Mhm.
that's how they change things about their
Right.
product. That's how they learn about what these families need. And it obviously betters their company. It betters, their reviews. And that's what they're also looking for. So
Mhm.
like obviously don't be scared to reach out and be like,
Mhm.
"Hey, is there any way we can like get a
Right.
discount?" Or
Mhm.
like, would you be willing to, send us something and we can do a review or take pictures or video, whatever you guys need. And that's another way to approach it too. Because and I had messaged them and I was like, "Hey, like this, it's just taking so long. Like they're just
Mhm.
very uncomfortable. They haven't been being made right. Like we're going back and forth. She's been out of braces for almost 6 months. Like, would these work for her?"
Mhm.
Because they're like technically for foot drop,
Mhm.
which, cerebral palsy, like it's toe dragging foot drop.
Mhm.
um, and they're like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
They're like, "Just
Mhm.
let us know how it works, and
Mhm.
we'll send you a pair right now." I'm like, I wasn't
Mhm.
asking for any like freebies or anything, but like, okay, like if you want to, that would be so amazing. Like, and I was so
Yeah.
grateful, and I took videos and pictures and put it on TikTok and just like shown because these places are still like waiting to get approved to be
Mhm.
accepted by insurance. And so if they have these reviews and they have pictures to show and back up, like, hey, people are using it, it's
Mhm.
helping people. And a lot of times they just need that, extra thing, even if they have, like the medical backing behind it and like the actual, like,
Mhm.
gosh, what is it? Like the peer review, like just like
Mhm.
different things that they have to have for them to be accepted by insurance and FDA approved and everything.
Right.
Because they get put in the categories for insurance, which I didn't know this before.
Mhm.
Like the
Yeah.
companies get put into the category, like they don't
Right.
get to pick.
Right.
So when they go and put in the numbers, some insurance accepted and some don't, and that's because of the category they get put into, and they
Right.
have to like get more and more to change it.
Mhm.
And so a lot of people don't realize that and understand that. And so that's another thing that companies, especially for medical equipment, they are gung ho about getting like reviews and getting people's knowledge on what they've done,
Mhm.
just because that will help them get into the next category so that it could get approved for other people.
Right.
So that is
And there's
another thing.
more people they can help as well. So if it
Yeah.
worked good for your daughter and you put it out there, then other people will be like, well, hey, let me go to this Canada company and try it for my child. So it's more, more traffic for them, it's beneficial for them.
Yeah.
Gives them the thing. If it didn't work out for your child, they could have worked with you some more to be like, hey, but what didn't work? Maybe we need to fix this. It's a lot that goes into it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's
Oh,
cool. I like it.
right. I know. I absolutely love it. Like, that's
Mhm,
why I'm like, like a lot of these companies, like we work really well with them
mhm,
because, especially when we give out equipment, we ask families like, "Hey, can you send us a video?" Or like, "Can you send
mhm.
me some pictures?" And then we'll send it off to them and say, "Hey, this family is so appreciative. This is
Yeah,
what's going on. This is what's happening." And so like that's how we keep up our relationships because it works out very well.
right. It does. So don't be scared to have I have taught my daughter gratitude and always
Mhm.
being grateful for people to give things to you or you receive things. So we do a lot of videos and
That's
pictures,
awesome.
just even for just little things. So
Mhm.
my daughter wears headbands for cochlear implants and had a lady who she sews and she did a lot of headbands for Joy just because she saw Joy had headbands. And
Oh
so,
my
of course,
gosh.
whenever Joy gets anything, I make her do a thank you video for whatever. So don't be,
I was like, "You're gonna have to send me a picture of her headbands because I think that's so cool."
yes, I'll show
We might
you.
have to say we might have to share that some of the families because we have a
Yes.
couple of the kids that have those. Yeah.
Yes. But it teaches her that to be thankful for people doing things for her because people don't have to do things for her. So
Hmm.
we went to a flea market other day and Joy wanted she's into Stitch. So everything she got 50 million Stitch things, Lilo and Stitch. So we went to the flea market and my sister bought her a Stitch backpack. And so Joy, because we teach her you say thank you when you get stuff, but like the lady just fell in love. She thought that was wonderful. Other Stitch stuff gave us gave us that stuff. And she was just like, hey, can, because could I take a picture for my, my booth to say, hey, got a cute kid with, Stitch stuff. And I was like, yes, because we appreciate you giving, because you didn't have to do that. Like, this is your money.
Yeah.
but you just give it to her. So you get some stuff. Don't be afraid
Right.
or ashamed
Yeah.
of anything. So I am so sold and blessed that my child is deaf. I tell everybody, we got the shirts, we did the sign language thing, and this is what she has. But she has a wonderful life. She is very loved. She has a village. Everybody asks about her before they ask about me. So
Right. That's how it is here. And I'm like, you're just using me to see Evelyn. It's okay. Just
yes,
admit it.
exactly.
I
Exactly.
was like, I'll be the third wheel. I'll tag along. It's okay.
Yes, I have learned that. It is not about me anymore. It's all about Miss
Right.
Joy. It's all about Miss Joy.
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
well, thank you for coming on today. And is there anything you want to add before we get off?
So the only thing I want to add is that parenting is a journey and you're not going to know everything. You're going to have some good days and some bad days, but in the end, if you're doing what you think you need to do to make sure your child is in the best hands, has everything they need, and they seem so happy, then you're doing your job. Well, I always say there's no bad parents, and there are some bad parents, but those who are trying their best to do what's best for their child, y'all are great parents. You are a
Hmm.
great parent, and hang in there. It gets better. You may be in the lowest,
That,
and again, I'm like, I can't be doing this. I can't. I'm tired of going to the doctor. I see the doctor more than me, and I do medicine, but she has gotten older, things are better, and it's so much better. And to see how she was into where she is now, like I wouldn't trade this journey for anything. I'm serious.
Mhm.
So yes, it is hard some days, but I'd have more good days than I have bad days. I can't say that. So hang in there, parents. You got this.
And self-care is okay. Self-care is needed. And so that is another thing for parents. It's definitely like don't leave that out because you will get burnt out. It gets tiring and it's okay. We've all been there. We've all had major bags in our eyes from not sleeping and
Lots of
from
good
like dealing with
concealer.
everything else in life. Yes.
But yes, that is so very important, self-care. And do not feel guilty about
Mhm.
taking a break. Some days I sit in my car before I come in because I know as soon as I come in the house, it's mommy time. And sometimes I
Yeah.
have to reset myself from work days. And so I
Mhm.
sit out, listen to the music, take some time to get my hair done, get my little
Right.
nails, hang out with my friends for a minute.
Mhm.
And it doesn't Self-care doesn't have to be a lot of stuff. It could be an hour, 30 minutes,
Yep.
20 minutes, but take care of yourself because you can't take care of your kid unless you take care of yourself.
Mhm. Yeah. I definitely agree with that.
Because I do my self-care faithfully,
Right?
faithfully. Mhm.
Well, thank you all for listening. And yeah, I'd love to have you back again. So, um, yeah, that's really about it. And we'll just sign off for the day.
Hey,